This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Gary Wilson. He's coming to us directly from just down the street in Disney World in Florida. He's got a lot of interesting stuff to talk to us about. One is a unique thing that we don't talk about every day is teaching real estate agents how to deal with real estate investors, which is sometimes oil and water. Although if we look a little closer, there's a great symbiotic relationship there, but for some reason there's usually a little friction there, and so you have to learn how to overcome it. But before we get started, I want to pay homage to my sponsor, taxfreefuture.com. If you do not have a tax deferred or tax-free retirement account or a place in which you can grow your retirement or grow your financial finances, tax-free or tax-deferred, you have no idea the size of the tool that you are missing out of your belt. Please go to taxfreefuture.com, give the little mini information there, micro information, and check out the 37 videos of what you can do with these accounts. I went to a webinar, a seminar one time, a 3-day seminar. It's one of the best things I ever did. It was a long time ago, 20 years ago, and they taught me how to grow my retirement fund from a little bitty tiny bit of money to a whole bunch of money, and it was worth every penny. Changed my life. Taxfreefuture.com, because you will not believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. All right, Gary, I got the commercial out of the way. There you go. So let's do a little background. Tell us about the bullet points, and then we'll get on with some real what do you call it? The nuggets. There you go.
Sure. Well, I started my very first property I bought on January 20th, 1986. And I literally just graduated from college. I bought it with my college roommate. His name's Socrates. His dad's a Greek immigrant. And he helped us buy the house. He never gave us a dime, by the way. He didn't give us the fish. He taught us how to fish. If you remember 1986, I know we're dating ourselves here. Huge tax reform act came out. And it took away a lot of loopholes for S-corp type people like dentists and chiropractors and doctors and so forth. What created a huge opportunity for young guys like me that didn't have anything, were broke, getting out of college, needed jobs, things like that. And that first house was a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom rancher we bought. We assumed the owner's mortgage. It was a VA mortgage. We refinanced his second, and we gave him a third note for the remainder of the equity. 2 years later, I get married. Socrates buys me out. And I put in about $3,000 total and got out about $8,000. And I lived there for a whopping like $50 a month. We rented the other 2 rooms out to 2 other guys, and their rents pretty much covered all the debt on the property. So that was what made a believer out of me, Mitch. If it wasn't for that, I might not be doing this today, you know?
That was your aha moment, like maybe I ought to check into this, because I did that.
Oh.
My story is pretty similar.
Yeah.
It was it was the exact same time the Tax Reform Act killed the industry. There was 800 foreclosures per week, and there were so many that they weren't even doing them at the courthouse steps. They were doing them per week at the Board of Realtors. It was a silent auction, and you just wrote down how much you wanted to pay and put it in an envelope and turned it in, and if you were the high person, you got it. There was a lot of assumable loans back then, VAs and FHAs. And I did exactly the same thing, but I moved into mine and lived there until I decided to sell it. And then I accidentally made more money selling it than I did the whole year in work. And that was my aha moment, just like yours. It's exactly the same. It's like, maybe, what just happened? How do I recreate that?
Yeah, it was I was just young enough and naive enough to not even know that maybe I should be fearful or whatever. It just didn't occur to me. And thank goodness it didn't. Now 10 years went by. I'm 35 years old. I'm sitting there like dreading the corporate world. I'm getting promoted, moving up the corporate ladder, and just hating it. And Soc's dad taught us when we closed on that property, Mitch, he's like pounding his chest. And if you boys do what I tell you to do, you won't have to work for anybody when you're 35 years old. Well, I wake up when I'm 35, married, 2 kids, living in Pittsburgh, away from the beach is where I really should be. And I said, I'm going to just start buying properties because I'm going to get out of this corporate gig. In 5 years, I retired. I retired when I was 40 years old with a couple of hundred units, and never looked back. I actually built a brokerage company a title company, an appraisal company, a property management company. The reason is the agents were not prepared to help me, Mitch. They were not trained to help me invest. They were trained to help you and I buy and sell our own homes, right? And that frustrated the living daylights out of me. I thought, well, I'll get my license. I'll take care of this. Thinking, how hard can that be? All those guys do is open up doors and look at the pretty carpet. Well, it turns out it's an entire industry that has its own set of rules and regulations and learning. So I decided to master the game, and I was already teaching investors how to invest for another company, and they were all asking me, "Hey, can you be my agent?" And I'm like, "I don't want to do that." Well, finally, after about 100 times, I'm thinking, well, maybe God is trying to tell me something. So I decided to say yes, and that opened up the whole world of new income. So now I had my passive income from my rentals, and of course, flipping and all that. And then I built this business around working with the investors because I understood them. They knew that, and that turned into a big business. And now I'm really living the model of having business and real estate ownership. When you get that powerful combination, the world is your oyster shell. You can do anything you want. I'm living proof, and believe me, Mitch, if you knew me when I was a kid, I mean, I wore Goodwill clothes. I was on a school lunch program. I'm like the least likely example of somebody to be teaching other people how to do this. But I went to Old Dominion University and studied computer science. To this day, I couldn't tell you exactly what it was I learned, but
well, you learned how to get up in the morning and pass a class. That's what you learned. But
this is it. Yeah.
But so very interesting. You covered a lot of material right there, but
Yeah.
one is this business offers a lot of offshoot opportunities. Like I have 8 companies, but they're all very finely related to the core business of buying and selling my houses. Okay. And I sell houses on 30-year mortgages with a 10% down payment. That's my model. Not many people have that model, but I buy houses with OPM, then I sell them for 35, 40, 50% markup, and I carry the note for 30 years, no balloon. And I just need a 10% down payment, and I need to like you. But from that became the hard money loan business, and it goes on and on, the self-storage business, and so, but one of the things I want to point out to the people listening is you got to master the one thing first. You don't get spread too thin fast. So how long was it, or talk in terms of either length of time or net worth or whatever, before you jumped off and started doing that second thing? Yeah.
So I really started investing in earnest when I was 35. And when I was 40, which is 5 years later, I decided I'm gonna start my own brokerage company, right? But I didn't do it right away. What I did is I got my license, started building the clientele, and the brokerage I worked for, Mitch, check this out. There were 30 agents. I ended up outproducing the other 29. My production was greater than all the other 29 agents put together. And I thought, I just got to start my own company. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, but because what you're trying to teach the real estate, and tell me if I'm on the right track, is you're trying to teach the real estate licensed community, the agents out there, or even the brokers maybe, is that you could be in control of your own destiny. Go out and find deals for people.
Yes.
You have a list of people that buy deals. Now you're not waiting around for a listing, and none of your competitors are doing this.
Right.
So you go out, I have a course, though. You'd be interested. We probably need to talk after the show. I have a course that I'm developing right now. It's not really a course as much as it is a touch system to take the 20,000 realtors in my town and find out the 100 that are going to look out for me. Yeah. I need to find the 100 that are going to look and be eyes and ears for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they see something interesting, they're calling me.
Yeah.
If they all just get me a half a deal a year, that's 50 deals.
Yeah.
And so I have this complete touch system, complete with greeting cards that I had manufactured, one for every year. And maybe there's a way to team up on this. I don't know, but sure. I think you have a great idea, because real estate agents really do not understand this at all.
Right.
And not all of them ever will. All of them will not. Get that through your head right now, right? All of them will not.
Yeah, it's actually about 1.5%. We've measured. I've literally taught in all 48 lower 48 states, 3 Canadian provinces, in classrooms, average of 20 people per classroom, over 24,000 agents just in the last 5 years. And we've measured this of all the agents in the world, in the North America, only about 1.5% have an intentional game plan to work with investors. And these are, and this is in a residential world, commercial separate. In residential world, 200, 300, 400 properties. Now you can get bigger properties, obviously, but going backwards, what happened is I actually didn't launch the brokerage till late 2008, which was the market was just dropping like a lead balloon. In the next 3 years, my brokerage company grew sixfold. We literally doubled 3 years in a row when every other brokerage company was half the agents left the business. So what happened is Caldwell Banker, Remax, Dave Littiger himself sent 5 executives from Colorado Springs, which was their headquarters, to come see me in little Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to buy my company. And I'm like, why would I sell? They were offering some Caldwell Banker, and it was just like the guy literally showed up with a checkbook. What do you want? Because they didn't have the model. And Mitch, I will be the first to admit, I didn't plan this way. I didn't plan the recession. I just happened to have, I call it the Forrest Gump moment. I happened to have the one boat that was out of the water when the hurricane hit, so I survived, and all the other boats were in shore getting smashed up against the docks. That's really what happened. And but in any case,
isn't that interesting though? Isn't that interesting? Like,
yeah.
I never planned to open up. I never planned to write a book.
Yeah.
I never planned to open up a loan company.
Yeah.
When I bought my first storage unit, I had no idea it would be the thing that would set me free faster than anything in the world. I just looked up one day when the bookkeeper came and said, man, your storages are kicking ass. And I looked at how much money they made and said, I'm freaking done. I'm done. I don't have to do anything anymore if I don't want to. And then, of course, have you done this before? You go into that I don't want to do anything mode, and then you find out that's really not where you live. That's not where you want to be, so you go back.
Yeah, when I retired when I was 40 years old, I'm literally going out in the morning, sitting on my deck with a newspaper and a cup of coffee, watching my neighbors speed off to work. And I felt guilty. It took me about a year to get comfortable being financially free. And I ended up working harder, by the way. That's when I built those businesses. I'm like, well, I got all these clients that I'm serving them through my agents to invest in real estate. They're all asking for property management. I said, sure. In my 3rd year of property management, it outperformed my brokerage company. And then I started, I said, well, need title insurance. I went and took the title exam. I'm not an attorney. I passed the first time. I'm sitting there in a room with all these attorneys. They're scratching their heads, and they call me the guy in the green shirt. Because the instructor's asking all these weird questions like, what would you do in this scenario when you got a title issue and this and this and this? And I was raising my hand all day long because I'd seen all those. I did over 3,000 REOs, and I had seen everything you could possibly imagine. But in any case, going forward, I realized, okay, you know what? I don't want to do a lending business. We actually did launch a lending business, but Congress changed all the rules in 2009, and I'm like, or no, 2000. In any case, I decided let's just stop that nonsense right now. But I kept the appraisal business and sold that. But the point is I want everybody to pay attention who's listening to this. It's all about leverage, and everything I'm describing to you is focused on one thing, which is real estate. Okay. And when you serve people out there in the world of real estate, it's one of the 3: food, shelter, clothing. We're providing shelter. All right. It's an endless supply of business. And if you can leverage that one thing to provide other services, I promise you, like Zig Ziglar said, helping enough other people get what they need, you'll be plenty of what you need. And that's all I did,
Absolutely. And so I service notes for myself all day long, like hundreds of notes that I created myself. I got tired of saying no to people. Will you service mine? No. Will you service mine? No. Finally, it's like, damn, there's a lot of people that need this. And apparently whoever's doing it out there is not doing it very well because they all want to leave. And so I started a note servicing company, but I just want to reiterate, I got really good at the one thing first for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I was a pro at that thing.
Yeah.
And so and then I had a team that was managing that thing. So I could, because will you agree with me on this? Yes or no? Anytime you start something, for a period of time, usually about 2 years at least, it takes everything you have as a human to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that right?
It absolutely does.
That's what I figured out for me.
Yeah. For me, my one thing was the owning multi-unit rentals, the residential multi-unit rentals. And I ended up starting off with singles and duplexes and moving up, eventually bought big, 70, 80 unit apartment complexes. But it all started with me focusing on residential multi-units. And that gave me the foundation upon which I can launch these other businesses. Okay. And I'll tell you this, and everybody write this down too. And here's the truth about this. Real estate investing is really not the end game. It's the foundation upon which you can launch these other businesses. And if you study what we call the cash flow quadrant, you'll find out building businesses and merging them and selling them ends up becoming the real big. That's what kind of lets you be financially friendly. I have no debt right now. I have no business debt. I got no personal debt. I'm 57 years old, and I wish I could have everybody feel that feeling. It's an amazing feeling. It's not that I don't borrow, but what I do is I acquire properties. I acquire the assets with cash, and then I improve the asset, make it more valuable, then put its own mortgage on it. They're typically only 50% loan to value. The reason I'm on cash right now is, I'm anticipating we're going to have a correction. In fact, we're probably experiencing it right now. And it's going to be like Christmas time. I'm going to be ready because everybody else is coming in there trying to borrow from every neighbor and loved one and relative and all that. I pay attention to that because in the beginning, I did leverage. I was leveraged up to my eyeballs. I mean, I was 100% in debt. Okay. But I can tell you this, I started watching what the REITs were doing, REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. Watch what they do. They're big because they're good at it, right? They're not good at it because they're big because they're good at it. And watch that model, and you watch like Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, all the people that are on TV, you'll find out they're doing something very similar. They might have a specific little twist or turn to it. But at the level they're at now, they're the 800-pound gorillas, and there's plenty of room at the top. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen, Mitch. I thought it'd be tougher the higher I went. It's not. It's actually easier. So if you're at the bottom of the pyramid, scrounging and clawing your way up, just have faith, reach up and ask for help. That's one of the biggest lessons I can tell people is don't be afraid to ask for help. Wherever you are now, if you want to be at a different level, you've got to think at that level first. And the only way to do that is hanging around people who are already at where you want to be. And that means you got to take training, you got to join masterminds.
Yeah, masterminds, right? Masterminds. Yep. I mean, you think a mastermind's expensive. The last one I went to cost me $30,000 if it cost me a penny for that year. Because it's not just the fee up front, then it's the hotels and the plane tickets and then the lost opportunity, the time away from home and all that. But it changed my life. It actually got me to a point where I could say, I haven't seen the last 350 houses I bought. And I haven't seen the last 350 people that moved into my houses. I haven't seen any of them. That was from a mastermind. So, but again, you got to get that foundation to know and understand what people are talking about when you get in the room. If you just go from dead zero into one of those masterminds just because you have the money, you're gonna be sitting there with a blank look on your face. You're not gonna know. You got to pick the level just that you understand and just keep going up and up. And there's always another level, isn't there? Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is if you focus on your heart and your mind first, right? Success is an inside job. Materially, the house you live in, the car you drive, all that will follow. So you don't gain materially and then all of a sudden now you're thinking at that level. No, you got to think at that level first, and then materially that will catch up. But the thinking has to come first, and that's really critical too, because material things will kill you really fast. Because what we're really in this for is for the freedom, not really the money. I would say this in my book. I said, if we could earn our freedom by collecting jelly beans, then everyone out there would be given a course on how to collect jelly beans. But unfortunately, we buy it with money, unless you want to be a monk, and then we got a different thing. But most people buy their freedom with money. And so that's what we're out there to study. Have you, I got people that come to me all the time and go like, man, I just don't know how people make money like that. How do people make money like y'all make money? And I said, well, let me ask you this, like, how many hours have you studied money?
Right.
I mean, because if that's what you want and you're not studying, why do you expect? I mean, how would you expect to fly if you didn't take a flight school? I mean, how would you expect to fly? Just jump in and hope you don't crash. I mean, that's not a very good plan. So, we're probably need to start headed towards the barn here.
Okay.
Gary's, I love your personality, man. I haven't met you before, but I love your personality. I love your take on things. We were talking before the show. I really connect with you as far as your style. I think you're probably someone I should meet personally really soon, just because. But I want to let the audience know, Gary gives a free 30-day trial for his everything. You just get a password or code or whatever. You go to reinvestorsummit.com/Wilson, WILSON, and get a pass. We were talking about it. There's more free stuff than we can sit here and list, but give us a little bit of what's over there.
Yeah, there's a ton of content. So I've written 7 books. I got 3 more in the hopper, and the first 5. If they go in and click on the members area, left-hand side, you already got to be a member. Right-hand side, they can go in and check it out for free for 30 days. Grab the first 5 books: flipping, buying rentals, managing rentals, wholesaling, what we call the investor agent program, where you combine being an agent and an investor or serving other investors. But also, there's like dozens and dozens and dozens of web links to allow you to research anything you want on any person, any property, which is critical in investing. You got to have data first. Then there's reports on like how do you know who's paying cash for properties in an area? Well, you can get the report. It tells you, gives you the name and address and the properties they bought. There's even a private lender's report. It shows you who's lending money privately. It gives you their name and address and the properties that they financed. So you can like match up with the right people. There's also a community site where you can set up a profile, log in. There's like thousands of people out there, all professionals, business owners, and of course the investor agents that we train to work with us are on there. And you can network, you can look for properties, sell properties, do joint ventures, all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's just tipping the iceberg. It's just, I don't want to go too far because it probably overwhelm people. But the reality is just jump in with your toes, grab what you want. And that's just how we do things. It's again, back to Zig Ziglar, I just learned a long time ago. And he used to tell me that. By the way, my grandfather knew him personally. They served together in the Army. And never met the man personally, but I've got all his material. He passed away a few years ago, but he said it perfectly. You just got to serve. The secret to wealth is serving as many people as you can. You got to have a servant's heart, and you got to give. And the receiving comes from the giving, but it's honor-based. As we call it, prosperity through service. Serve first, and you shall prosper as a result. And man, is it true. I can't put it any more simpler than that,
There's a lot of, the greatest self-help book in the world was written about 2,000 years ago. It's called the Bible. Everyone's been ripping off the Bible ever since. Zig Ziglar and The Secret, and everybody, it's all in there. It's all been said before. They're just repackaged it with a different cover, Give and you shall get back tenfold is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a theologian. I can't really quote, but I've been to my church enough to know that it's all been written before. But one time in a seminar, someone asked me at the end, what's the most influential book you ever read? So the flash through my mind, the split second, it's the Bible. Second flash, split second was, there's 150 people in this room, probably would be considered politically incorrect for me to say that. Second flash, if I deny my God, he will deny me. Next flash, I'm spurting out. It's the Bible, right? And it was written 2,000 years ago. I said the hot thing at the time was The Secret. You send out your wishes to the universe. And I said, the only difference between The Secret and sending out a message to the universe And me sending out my messages, I figure I'm sending out the message to the guy who made the universe. That's all. That's the difference in the belief system. And it's all been written 2,000 years ago. And if you want to know how to conduct your business, it's right there. You know, and
it is.
And honestly, you give and you give and you give and you give, and that person is the one who's the most rewarded.
Yeah.
And it sounds cliche to say I want to give back, but the rewards of that are huge.
Well, true giving is giving when you really don't even think you got anything to give, like you give of yourself. And funny thing is, I'll go back to tell this real quickly. You know, the Bible has outprinted and outsold all other books in the history of the human race combined, right? So when people tell me, well, I'm not religious, I don't believe, blah, blah, it's like, that's okay. Read it because it's the #1 business book in the world too. You know?
Well, it was the only time in my life I got just a stand-up, die-hard standing ovation. You know, I mean, I don't know. So you feel like sometimes you put yourself on the line for this stuff, but there's a lot of believers out there, and for good reason. You know.
Yeah. Well, our U.S. Constitution doesn't protect other people's feelings from being hurt. It protects our freedom of speech, and I don't think our forefathers intended us to contain what we believe and what we think. I think they wanted us the freedom to express it. So whether you're, you know, Buddhist, Muslim, Hindu, Jewish, Christian, whatever, you know, I express it. Be proud of it. You know, I mean, I love getting cards. I get Kwanzaa cards, Hanukkah cards every year for my tenants, and I'm glad to get them. But I send out Christmas cards. But I'll tell you this, guys, the second best book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I've been able to meet his grandson. They're from rural Virginia. That's where I grew up. In that book, the foundation, the fundamentals come from the Bible, and the whole principle of the mastermind comes from Jesus and the 12 disciples. That's where that comes from, you know. And guys like in the you know, Harvey Firestone, you know, Edison, all those guys got together in Sarasota, Florida, 3 or 4 times a year to mastermind because they knew they could help each other out, even though they were in different industries. Ford was there. Were there. All this stuff's out there. The success leaves clues. Like Mitch, you said earlier, man, just learn, read, study, take training. The main thing I can tell you, you know, we can all read books, but to really excel, you got to have real trainer-led training. That's the difference, okay? How do you go from the learning to the execution? Well, that's training, right? Yeah. Most people will say, I'm just going to get the book and I'll figure it out. We can all figure out how to.
No, you can do that, but I tell everyone, you're going to pay the street or you're going to pay the mentor. And the street is ruthless. The street will take everything you have and spit right in your face and kick you to the curb. And there's no encouragement there. The mentor like gives you like, okay, well, here's our choices. You know, what do you want to, what chances, what's your risk level? What do you want to do? And then you go in with some kind of confidence, and you got a cheerleader generally as well with a mentor. You know, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Well, you know, we've got some other things we can try or whatever. So, but I do want to back up and digress. Think and Grow Rich came to me at a very low point in my life. And my mother thought that it was a neat book, and she had no idea the magnitude of this book. She was at a garage sale, and she asked about that book, and someone spoke highly of it, and she brought it to me. Had no idea the magnitude of that book. And I had no idea the magnitude of that book. And she begged me. I was having a very hard time in my life. She begged me to just read 10 pages a day of this book. And that's when I learned that reading could change everything, or that learning from someone else's written or oral experiences could change everything. Because I never stopped at 10 pages, and I never, you know, when I started reading, I had to make myself, because I was in a depressed state. And by the time I would finish reading, I was not in a depressed state, and I was actually starting to think of, I can do this, because I didn't have a college degree. I was kind of capped. Things weren't going well. And no one ever taught me about entrepreneurialism. They didn't teach it at school. It wasn't in my family. And so, but what was cool about that book was it showed that wealth could come from just damn near any place on earth, from almost anybody. And sometimes the people that were the less formally educated were doing better because they didn't have a choice. And so it put them on a different path, and they became entrepreneurs. And that's when I decided that I would be an entrepreneur, because I recognized that if I couldn't make $12 an hour by myself in the street, then I needed to just go, I don't know, shoot myself. I don't know what. And then when I figured out how to make $12 an hour, then I learned how to make $18 an hour. Well, I was the 100% recipient of the $6 increase. And then when I learned how to make $25, I was a 100% recipient of that. Pretty soon, all my friends that are CEOs and whatever, I mean, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And they jokingly get mad at me, like, you little runt, look what you've done, and you didn't even go to college,
Yeah.
So,
Well, the true fact of the matter is yes, lawyers, accountants, and doctors make a lot of money. They're at the top of the food chain in the working class. But people who own businesses are in a whole different class,
And you have to be careful too about businesses. You can get in a business where you're on a hamster wheel, running to pay the payroll every Friday. You got to be careful about that, because there's businesses out there. We got to be really careful about that, because if you don't set the business up, or it's not the right business, you end up a slave working longer hours and having more risk, and maybe making less, but that's a whole nother topic. I want you guys to go to REInvestorSummit.com/Wilson. Got a 30-day free trial. This man has a ton of information. Go in there and get it for free. But I know what he's banking on, and I know, because I do the same thing. If you connect with him and you read what he's doing and how he's talking to you and how he's teaching, he'll get his share of people that understand that he's the right person for them in this endeavor that you want to conquer. And I do the same exact thing. I don't pound people. I don't hard close people. If I'm the right guy, you'll know it. Gary's the right guy. You're going to know if he's the right guy for you. And I'm sure somewhere in there, you can call and get a consultation with him to discuss what a more formal relationship might look like. Am I correct?
Yep. It's just, I'm a real person, and I'm accessible. You might have to do a little research online, but people actually call me up out of the blue. They've seen on YouTube. Oh, they can go to the YouTube channel too. Hundreds of videos, and something will be in there saying that guy just gave his phone number.
We'll put that in the show notes too. REInvestorSummit.com/Wilson. We'll get all that stuff in there. Man, I want to thank you for taking the time. I really enjoyed even the pre-conversation to this. You're quite a neat guy. And do you have anything you want to say to the folks maybe before we wrap it up here? Because I know you got a hard stop in about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, guys, just, I didn't start off at the top. I started off at the bottom, and I'm living proof you can do it. You got to have faith, number one, and number two, you got to take action. Just have faith and take action. I'm telling you, you can get to that next level. Just don't give up on yourself. Just keep having faith, taking action. I promise you, you're going to succeed.
All right, my friends, Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I'd like to thank you all for stopping by to get you some Gary Wilson over there in Florida. Please check out the show notes, REInvestorSummit.com/Wilson. And we're out of here, guys. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Be sure to check out taxfreefuture.com. Bye now.